Hari Om. Let's start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakhatvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We have completed the chapter 8 and we tried to record the 9th but it got stuck, so we're starting the 9th again. And in the 8th chapter, it was discussed in terms of what is the solution for the problem. Problem is, fundamental human problem is, I am looking for happiness. Why am I looking for happiness? Because I am considered myself, I am unhappy as I am. Why do I consider myself as unhappy? Again, it's like this, because I am only limited guy and I like to have more. I have only few things and I want to have more. So the whole problem is I want to get that, get that, get that. So all pursuits in life is trying to get something which I don't have. If I have it, then there's no point in getting. So you always find something I don't have, because the whole universe is so infinite and I don't have all that infinite. So I'm always a finite, and what I have is finite and I'm also finite. And I'm trying to solve this finite problem by becoming infinite, by acquiring or by changing things in a way that I am no more limited by space-wise, time-wise, object-wise. Desa kala vastu parichinnam. And that's a problem. I want to solve that problem and try to solve a problem. One day I kick the bucket because I will never solve the problem, because whatever I get is only a finite thing, and finite plus finite is going to be finite only. It will never become infinite. I can stop the search for happiness only when I have everything in the world, everything in the universe in fact, because even in the world, if you're talking about only in this loka, that one who has everything in the world is still unhappy because there are other worlds that he doesn't have. That's why in the Ananda scale, a human Ananda, one unit of human Ananda is defined as the one who has everything in the universe, everything in this world, and young enough to enjoy all the things in life. But yet he is not happy, because he is not as happy as a Gandharva and a Deva. Everyone is more happy than this guy, so he wants to become more and more happy. And Gandharva fellow is 100 times more happy than the human one, but he is still unhappy because there are other guys who are more happier than him. Like that, if you go to Ananda scale, all the way there's almost like 26 steps are there, and the highest Ananda is the Brahmaji, who is 26, 10 to the power of 26 times the Ananda of the human. It's actually 13 steps. Everyone is 100 times more. So in the 13th step is Brahmaji step, but his Ananda is also stimulated because he is not infinite and he is still limited, because Brahmaji is different from Brahmaloka and other lokas also. So this will never solve the problem, and I can never solve the problem by trying to gain something. At the same time, I cannot stop trying to solve the problem because I am unhappy as I am and I want to become happy. This is a pursuit for every human being, and this is also failure of all human beings. Therefore, if this life is failure, next life again. Same thing happens again and again and again, and this is an eternal cycle. So how do we solve this problem? Problem can only be solved because the problem has to be analyzed correctly, and correctly Vedanta says that the problem itself is wrong because you have analyzed the problem wrongly. What's analysis? Because you feel that I am limited by space-wise, time-wise and object-wise. And that itself is a problem because you are not limited by any of this, that means I am really infinite as I am. If I am infinite, why do I feel finite? That is the problem, because you do not know you are infinite. Therefore, only solution to the problem is recognize your infinite nature. How do I recognize? By Vedanta Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Therefore, Tasmat Jnanat Eva Samsara Nivrittihi. This samsara, eternal cycle of the Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, Jatari Shayanam, this goes on and on and on and on, never ending, because the more I get involved, it's like a Kruti Mahodadau Patana Karanam. Ramana Maharshi says, it's like a whirlpool, you get caught into that. And from one whirlpool to another whirlpool to another whirlpool, you can never get a solution out of that problem. And only solution is, therefore, Jnanatyeva, only knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Not any other objective knowledge, knowledge of the fundamental truth, that is the basic knowledge, because you have basic ignorance, that's called a Mula Avidya. And only way that basic knowledge, the avidya, the ignorance of your own self, can be solved not by any other knowledge, only by the self-knowledge. Self-knowledge or Brahman knowledge, both are same according to Advaita. So, Tasmat Jnanadyeva Samsara Nivrittihi. How do we? Nanya Panta Vidyate Anaya. No other path other than knowledge. And the J. Krishnamurti is called truth is a pathless land. He means by a path of a bound by space-wise, time-wise, object-wise. Truth is a pathless land because it is infinite. Infinite cannot have any paths. But there is a path for not to realize the truth, but for purification of the mind, so that you can see the truth as it is. So paths are not for the moksha, paths are for purification of the mind. Purification of the mind depends upon the type of impurities you have. Therefore, it is specific to a jiva, although a particular paths are being provided, and that's what in Bhagavad Gita, it's called Yoga Shastra and Brahma Vidya. Talks about the truth and also how to gain that truth depending upon where you are. So path is there not for the truth, but to purify the mind so that one can see the. So here in the 9th chapter, we are talking about the qualification of the student. Depends upon how where he is standing in order to gain the knowledge. So for every knowledge, there is also qualifications. Just like if I want to go to study chemistry, I should have some prerequisites to gain that knowledge. If I want to do quantum mechanics, then there are prerequisites for that. The prerequisites are qualifications of the seeker who wants to gain that knowledge. Same way, there are prerequisites for even self-knowledge. What are the prerequisites? That is the essence of this Adhikara Nirupanam of the 9th chapter. We'll start with that. Atracha moksha shastre iha janmani janmantareva phalanabhisandhi purvaka anushtita yajnadi karmabhihi kshina papaha shantaha dantaha uparataha titikshaha shraddhavan mumukshuhu viveki purusha dhaureyaha adhikaroti. In one sentence he has introduced the whole topic. Here, that's one paragraph 1. Atra, therefore, for moksha shastre, for studying of the moksha, this is how to get liberation. Liberation is that I have to be free from desa, kala, vastu, parichinnatvam, limitations-wise, space-wise, time-wise, object-wise. So, the truth is obviously opposite of that. Desa kala vastu aparichinnam, and that means limitless, space-wise limitless, time-wise limitless, object-wise limitless. That is only in his Brahman, that is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, and that is Moksha Shastram, to gain that Aham Brahmasmi, that is the Moksha Shastram, that is Jnanat Eva, say Nanya Panta Vidyate Yanaya, no other path other than the knowledge only. Atracha Moksha Shastre Iha Janmani Janmantareva Palana Bisandi Purvaka Anushtita Yajnadi Karmadivihi. So that yajnas and karmas that I have done in the past becomes a seed for my today's pursuit for the truth. So that means a preparation is required, and all the preparations in the last janmas and all that, that is of the yajnas as well as the karma yoga or the bhakti yoga, upasana yoga, all those yogas are preparing the mind. If I have already done in the past, then I have mind. I came in this life with already prepared mind. Therefore, I have the preparatories have been done before. If not been done, I have to do it now. So it's a question of preparing the mind. So Purusha Anushtita Yajnadi Karma Bhivi Kshina Papa, by having performed this karma yoga in the past life, that is what the preparation for that. So in the Brahma Sutra, the first sutra itself says, Atato Brahma Jignasa, then therefore one can inquire about Brahman. What is then? This is the first sutra itself, starts then. So there are a lot of interpretations of commentaries on what then or thereafter means. Thereafter means this is after gaining the required qualifications you have to do. So different acharyas have interpreted what is thereafter really means. And the Shankaracharya says after gaining the required qualifications, and the important qualifications are Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi Shatka Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. These are the fundamental requirements. How you got it, we are not going to ask, but if you have it, then you are qualified to pursue the Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Thereafter, you study Brahman, inquire into Brahman. So here, those are the adhikara. If you have already that, then you are qualified. Otherwise, you have to get the qualification in this life. And that is the topic, this chapter. So the China Papa, what I have gained after removing the papas, the sins, means demerits of my mind, are perturbations in the mind through Shantaha, Dantaha, Uparataha, Titikshuhu, Saddhavan Mumukshuhu, Viveki, Purushaha. So, this is a person who has essentially Shantaha, is going to explain all that. Shantaha, Dantaha, Uparataha, Titikshuhu, Saddhavan Mumukshuhu, and Viveki. This is what he lists of the four qualifications that Shankaracharya gave. In that, the Viveka Vairagya Samadhi Shatka Sampatti. Shamaha is essentially in that sixfold qualifications require, all those things are Shanta, Danta are prescribed there. So these are the one that Uha Titikshu Shraddhavan Mamukshu, the one who is desirous of the liberation, and Viveki, one who has a discriminative intellect, that Purushaha Daureyaha Adhikaroti. So that Dhiraha, that person who has that, is the one who is qualified to pursue this knowledge. Now he gives more account of that. Shamaha Atirindriya Nigraha. So what is Shama? Shama is Antarindriya Nigraha, internal control of the senses is called Shama. Means sense control, means by mental internal control. So even though everyone gets desires, and where you stop it is by sublimating the desire. Says how do you sublimating? What's the suppression? Suppression means you forcefully stopping it. Sublimating is by understanding stopping it. So simple example is, suppose I am a diabetic and I should not eat sweets. So but I love sweets. So when I see a sweet, I get a desire. But doctor told me if I eat it, I'll have real problem. So using a discriminative intellect, I say I should not eat this sweet. And therefore, that is with an understanding, I am not forcefully, but with the viveka. With a proper understanding, I sublimate that desire, then this suppress the desire. So if you suppress it, it will come out bursting, whereas if I sublimate it with an understanding, then it will not have any more force. So it says, Shamaha antarindriyaha nigraha, controlling the inner senses at the mental level. Antarindriya means at the mental level, controlling the sense, running after the objects. Damaha bahihi indriya nigraha. Damaha means controlling externally in the sense control. Means I don't drink, so I decided not to drink. If I decide not to drink, there's no point for me to go to a place where they sell the alcohol and all that. So I forcefully, physically not going there. That's called externally controlled. That's called bahihi indriya nigraha. So there's no point in going to parties where they serve only alcohol, and it's better not to do it. So but it's called damaha. Uparatihi vairagyam sanyasaha iti kechit. So here he gives you three lists here. Uparatihi means absence of worldly desires. Vairagyam, dispassion for the worldly desires. Sanyasaha, withdrawal from the worldly desires. All are all interrelated. So he put all of them in together. Uparatihi vairagyam sanyasaha iti kechit. Viveko nitya anitya vastu vivekaha. Nitya anitya vastu vivekaha. So what is viveka? Is not any other discriminative faculty. Viveka is a faculty that differentiates nitya anityam, what is eternal and what is ephemeral, and that viveka comes with the subtle development of the system. So in everyone, what is the viveka, what is the eternal aspect, and what is the changing aspect. So if you look at simple example of all the gold ornaments, changing aspects is a ring and a bangle and necklace and bracelet. Those are the external namarupat, but the essence is the gold. So paying attention to the essence, nityam, and anityam is a changing, ephemeral, the transactional reality, that is the viveka. So you have to transact it, therefore you have to apply in the transactional world. At the same time, mind should be paying attention to the substantive, that which is nityam compared to anityam. Anityam means it is only temporarily existing, and therefore it comes under mithya. Nitya anitya vastu vivekaha is called the discriminative faculty. Tad vijnayasa gurumeva abhigacche samitpanihi sotriyam brahmanishtam. So that one who has all this, as the scripture says, tad vijnanartam sa gurum eva abhigacche samitpanihi sotriyam brahmanishtam. It is srutehi. So it says one who has that has to go to a teacher. That's what in the Mundakopanishad says, Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamayan nasya kruta krutena tad vijnanartam sa gurum eva abhigachet samitpanihi sotriyam brahmanishtam. For that study, to gain that knowledge, you have to approach a teacher. Scripture says, don't come to me directly, go to a teacher, and teacher have with the shraddha, faith what? Faith in the teacher's word and his interpretation of the Shastras are indeed correct. So you go to appropriate teacher, which is who is Sotriyaha and Brahmanistha, one who knows the Shastras and also knows how to teach also. He has to come down to your level and uplift your mind to that. That is what Sotriya means. And also he heard, Shruti means heard, so he heard from his teacher how to teach also about the truth. So therefore his teacher learned from his teacher all the way up to Ishvara. So there is a methodology of teaching is employed, and also there is a Guru Parampara, a cycle of teacher to the taught, teacher to the taught, that sort being spread. This is true even in science also. I go to a physics teacher, who is a physics teacher who himself learned from another physics teacher. Another physics teacher learned from his physics teacher, or himself by developing science of physics also. So, and understood and also could explain that. That's what is a teacher is. Sotriyaha. Brahmanishtaha, the one who is abiding in the knowledge. Not only he knows, but he knows well established in that. The Shrutis is. And here the problem is we do not know or how to evaluate somebody is Brahmanishta or not. We can find out whether he is Sotriya, means he knows the scriptures or not, but we cannot evaluate somebody who is Brahmanishta. So how do we know? So we assume if he is a Sotriya, he must be Brahmanishta also, whether he is Brahmanishta or not. But when I have a faith that my teacher is realized, then I have the Shraddha, required Shraddha. So, idi Srutehi Sadguru Upasana Dvara Tena Mahavakyartam Jnana Sampadaniyam. Here the Ramaraya Kavi says, therefore, for Sadguru, who is the one who knows this is called Sadguru, Upasadana Dvara, by teaching or by the teaching of that teacher, Tena Mahavakyartam, one who can give the meaning for the Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, etc. That means who knows Lakshartha and Jnana Sampadaniyam. One has to gain this knowledge. Once you prepare all that, you have to go to a teacher and gain that knowledge. That's what he said. So that's what a recommendation for everyone. Kechidu, next paragraph. Kechidu Vamadevadayastu Gurupadanam Vinaiva Prabhuddhaha Tesham Bhagadeyam Navidmaha. So here he gives some example from the scriptures by name the Vamadeva. Kechidu Vamadeva. There are some like Vamadevas who even without approaching a teacher, they have gained the knowledge. That's what the scripture says. Guru Padanam Vinaiva Prabhuddhaha Tesham Bhagadeya Navidmaha. So they have gained without the teacher. That's what implication is. But here we say Tepi Janmantare Guru Upasattim Krutavantaha iti Anumiyate. But here say, since scripture says one has to approach a teacher and teacher is required for this, and therefore if somebody says, or like a Vamadeva who has realized without any teacher, implication is he must have in the past has studied under a teacher and now is able to contemplate on it. Because of some obstruction is born again, but obstruction is relieved because by his very birth itself, and some may take longer. There is another story of Jadabharata where he knew it, but he had some attachment, so some dear, and that made him not to realize completely. Therefore he has to be born again and again until that vasanas or purification of the mind occurs. So there are examples where in the previous life you have studied, or previous life you have prepared the mind, all that, which means that nothing will be wasted, everything will be a positive towards to the goal, because even if you don't reach it, next life you will be born in a conducive environment for a rapid growth because of the past. If you already have Vedantic study, then because of some obstruction, if you not realize in this life, then you will realize immediately in the next life, because you already have the background. So that is what essentially implication here. So the conclusion is Tepi janmantare guru satyam krutavantam iti anumiyate. One has to think that anumiyate means one has to infer that they also had the teaching in the previous life. Guru Shastre Vina Atyanta Gambhiram Brahma Vetam Kam. It is Sri Vidyaranya Vachanat. So Vidyaranya in the Panchadasi says that Guru Shastre Vina, without the teacher and the Vedantic study, Atyanta Gambhiram Brahma Vetikam. How can anybody can know this, the profound knowledge of the Brahman? So here is a rhetorical question that Vidyaranya raises, and therefore, which means that without the proper study and the proper teacher, it's almost impossible for anyone. But what should I do for a teacher? It says, you prepare your mind properly according to the law, that appropriate teacher will come if you open your mind to learn. So this is a qualification. You don't have to go in search of a teacher. And Pujya Swami Chinmayanji say, a flower doesn't have to go in search of a bee. It has to bloom itself in its perfection, then bee shall come, even if the flower is somewhere in the Himalayas. So appropriate bee shall come, and that's the law. That is the God's the rules as laid down. So therefore, appropriate teacher in order to go to the next level will happen. Next. Shamadhi rahitaha api kechana adhuna moksha sastram adhiyana dushyante. Now he is coming to say, we see some of the people who do not have this required qualifications, shama adi rahitaha, without having the qualifications that we said. Abhi kechana, some people, adhuna, particularly in this new modern age, the moksha sastram adhiyana drishyante. People are trying to gain the moksha sastram. Moksha sastram means Vedanta shastram. Drishyante, we see that. Teshamapi na idam adhyayanam aphalam kintu janmantareshu samadhi sampadaka sukruta padameva. Even those people who have not completely fulfilled the requirement of the mental purification, teshamapi, they also, if you have studied Vedanta, that will never go waste. They will go in the next life with that background, and they will accumulate the other qualifications required for their realization. It's like a simple example given is, if you have a bulb is burned out and the electricity is gone there, you replace the bulb first. So when you put a new bulb, still there is no light there, but you have to go and turn the switch on, or if you have a rheostat, you have to turn more and more and more until light comes out. So replacing the bulb is not a waste. It is helpful in the next stage, where when I am turning now electricity on, that new bulb will be burning. Same way, the Vedanta is the study of scriptures will never be waste, and it will be helpful. If you don't have enough qualifications, you will get those qualifications in the next life. So teshamapi na idam adhyayanam apalam. So it's not a waste of the study. Kintu, because janmantareshu samadhi sampadaka sakruta padameva. So in the next life, he will be struggling hard or put in a situation where he has to develop the required qualifications to digest the knowledge that he already gained. So immediately he will get once he is exposed to the knowledge. And there is a sloka here. Vedaksharani yavanti paditani dvijottamaihi tavanti harinamani kirtitani na samshayah. So the one who studied the Vedanta, some are people just chant Vedanta also without understanding it, and those dvijottamaihi, those are those the Brahmins who keep chanting without going into complete analysis of what is, there is Tavanti Harinama Kirtadani Nasamshaya. They also gain the punyam because of the chanting, and that punyam helps in the next life for being born in a conducive environment to gain the knowledge of the Vedanta. Iti Vedakshara Ucharana Matrasya Harinama Ucharana Tulyantu Smaranad. In this way, the study of the Vedanta is, chanting of the Vedanta also helpful in purification of the mind, and we'll go that more when we come back. This we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Guru